Good morning, everyone. It's 8:30. We'll call this morning's meeting to order. And our first item is the approval of the agenda, but I would like to note that we'd like to pull off the request for tax abatements to be voted on separately under the consent agenda items. And then also we have an agenda addition, and that's a request to fill the full-time female corrections officer vacancy.
Move to approve with the change and the addition.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Motion carries. Okay. With that, we'll take the abatement issue that we removed, and we'll ask to vote on that separately.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I just want to make a note, because there are relatives of mine that are on this, I will be abstaining from this vote.
Very good. All right. Thank you.
Move to approve the abatement.
We have a motion to approve.
Second.
Second. Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same, and we'll note that Commissioner Mojo has abstained. Very good. Okay, we'll move on then to citizens to be heard. Do we have any citizens to be heard on items that are not on the agenda this morning? I see none, so we'll move on. Approval of the bills and vouchers.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Second. A motion and a second. Discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Motion carries. The minutes from March 28th and April 4th.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Motion carried. At this time, we have a, we would just like to recognize that Concordia College has given a contribution to our sheriff's posse in the amount of $550. That's a very generous gift, and we want to thank them for that. And for the people who might be watching or in the audience who don't know what the sheriff's posse is, they do an awful lot of work for the sheriff's department. They might do traffic control at the Holly Rodeo. They might help at the Glendon Loco Days. They do an awful lot, but their primary thing, the reason they were formed was to help in areas of searching for, because they could bring all sorts of different types of all-terrain vehicles and things in. So it's a really neat deal, and of course it's a volunteer organization, but those dollars go to help buy necessary equipment for their work. So thank you to them.
You want to take Julie next?
Yeah, and then we're going to go right in, because this should be a quick item, but we're going to go to our agenda addition and bring up Julie, and we'll go with the request to fill that female corrections officer position.
Thank you for letting me
Sure.
get on the agenda. We have a full-time female officer who's dropping down to a variable hour status. It's a DOC mandated spot, and we'd like permission to go ahead and start working on the process of replacing her.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign? Okay.
Mr. Chair, and just to compliment Julie on this position, this was a one that was in question, and it was a grievance and different things, and she worked it out with the employees so they can go to school, and just a compliment to Julie for working with her on this.
Thanks, Julie.
Okay, thank you.
Say, Julie, one last thing. In the next couple of months, could you maybe give us a report on where we're at with the transition team?
Sure,
And how the plans are coming on that?
sure. They start May 1st, so
Okay,
we're
right,
excited.
so it's like maybe 2 months from now, if you could
Yeah,
just come and,
that would work out good by then. We should have our federal training
very good.
completed. Thank you.
Okay, we have, the next we're gonna have an update from the Soil and Water Conservation District. Kevin is here. Paul, do you want to come up too, or part of this? No? Just want to listen in?
Come on down, Paul.
I'm assuming you're here for this, Paul? I'm assuming you came here for this item on the agenda?
Actually, an item later.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
everybody. Thank you for inviting me to come and discuss our program a little bit with the commissioners, and thank you for, I guess, the invitation to meet on a nice wet day. Typically, we'd be out in the field this time of the year, but right now, it kind of put us at a standstill, and we need a little shot of rain. Also, I want to thank you guys for your continued support to our program over the years. It's been something that we wouldn't be in existence without our partnership with you folks, and we do appreciate that. I guess when Colleen had asked if I could come sometime and give a little presentation on things that are going on in our office, new projects that we've got going on, I put together just a little list of some of the things that our office does. And when I started putting them together, I wanted to have it on a shorter piece of paper, but I just couldn't do it. You'll notice in the office administration column there, I guess I just kind of highlighted some of the things I just wanted to touch on. We're a board-elected supervisors that are voted on county-wide in Clay County. Our board members represent 6 townships, so they represent the areas that they presently live in. We've been established since June of 1945, so this is our 72nd year that we've been in existence, so I haven't been here quite that long, but it sure feels like it some days. 5 full-time employees. That's something new that we just, as of last year, hired a new employee, and it's something we're small enough, but we are growing with the programs we've got going on. This buffer initiative that I know we've talked to you folks numerous times on has definitely put an extra stress and a strain on our staff. So the opportunity to hire a new employee last year was very well welcomed. I'm working on lease issues. That's something I appreciate over the last couple of years that we've worked with you folks to try to maybe take up some office space out at the county highway department. That didn't work out for us, although it wasn't because of you folks. It was on our part that we decided to stay where we're at with the county office located with our NRCS partners. But that's something we're continuing to work on, and we made a decision at our last board meeting last Thursday to proceed with expanding on our present location. So we will be under construction here this summer.
Is that a building that you guys own, right?
It's a landowner, he's out of near Rochester, Minnesota, that has a number of these.
You're in a lease there, right?
Right, exactly. So that's just something that
So when you say under construction, are you expanding internally, or?
We're going to be expanding, well, our office, NRCS is requiring a wall between us and them, so it is going to be some in-house construction, but our office with an additional person, we are in need of some extra space, and we're going to be building on to the south of our office.
Okay, so external construction as well.
Exactly, yep. I guess the Pheasants Forever administration, another one. 4 years ago, we hired through a grant through the Pheasants Forever and Board of Water and Soil Resources, we were able to hire an individual, Tony Nelson, his name is, to work with basically getting conservation on the ground. So a lot of working with the CRP program, our RIM program, some of those type of things. Right now there's a CREP, a Conservation Reserve Enhancement Program that's being announced. So those are opportunities that we took advantage of, and has been a good partnership with us. I move on to the services provided by our office, the tree program. I think something that everybody associates our office with is, you guys plant trees? Yes, we do. We used to sell about 75,000 trees a year. We've gone down to where we've got 19,000 trees that we've got this year, of which about half of those will be planted by our office as soon as it dries up again here. Our trees came in last week, so we're in the process of bundling up for individuals, and we will be passing those out to landowners next week. I moved down to the blue columns, the blue highlighted items there. Our partnership with the county has gotten to be stronger over the years, and I looked at the county feedlot officer position that was brought to our attention. I think it was in 2007. There's 105 feedlots in the county. There had been some, I think what brought it to a head was a potential site for a hog operation east of Downer, and that it brought up a lot of red flags with a lot of neighbors, and the county commissioners took it upon themselves to work with MPCA to take on a designated county, and the responsibilities were transferred to us. Not a very popular program, but I think the person we have in charge, Craig Halverson, does a good job with it, and landowners seem to, I guess we haven't been hearing a lot of problems like we had in the past, and I hope you guys haven't either.
I'm going to comment on that, because I think that was one of the better moves that we did do with that and turning it over there. That was one of the things we were getting numerous calls on as commissioners, was feedlot issues. And ever since we've done this, I haven't had not one call on a feedlot issue, and
We're happy to hear
Yeah,
that, so,
yeah.
and I'm sure you are too. Like I say,
Yes.
it's not a very popular program, but there's rules, regulations, and like I say, Craig does a good job with that. Being a livestock owner and working with cattle, he knows the lingo, and he's, like I say, works real good with the landowners. The next one there, the County Ag Inspector Program, that was transferred to us in 2012. A position that also can be a little contentious. Not everybody likes to see weeds out there, and definitely we hear about those. That's something that is a learning experience for us. We hired a new employee last fall, like I said earlier, and the person that we put in charge, Gabe Foltz, he will be the County Ag Inspector, and we all partnership with helping him to get the weeds under control in the county. Part of that duty is to hold township officer training sessions, and also for mayors, because each township official, unless they have a designated ag inspector in that township, and each mayor of the towns in the vicinity of the Clay County, they all are by law a ag inspector, whether they know it or not, but they are. So just training them, and there's always weeds that are new coming to our area that are just things that we need to keep up with, and let the public know what's going on. The Wetland Banking Program, that was something back in 1998 that continues to be a project that can also be contentious, filling a wetland which requires a process to go through to wetland impacts in the state of Minnesota. There's a no net loss of wetlands, so working with that program definitely is something that landowners want a project. There's a process to go through that will allow them to do a project, but there are, in the meantime, may need to be some wetland mitigation done. Ag banking primarily is working with farmers that want to fill wetlands. That's a program that we work with as well. I'm getting down to the bottom part there that I've got in red, the Urban Conservation Program. And if you look on the last page, I've just attached a copy of the front page of the Fargo Moorhead, the Moorhead Community Education flyer that went out, and on the back side of that, we created a urban conservation program 2 years ago with the hiring of our new district coordinator, Mandy Lewis, and in partnership with the Cass County office, the Soil Conservation District over there, and River Keepers, we have been holding some rain barrel making workshops as well as compost tumbler workshops. We have 3 of those scheduled in the next couple weeks. The rain barrels are April 25th, May 8th, May 25th, and the compost tumblers are May 2nd, May 15th, and June 1st. So those are a partnership that we've created with the other entities there, like I said, the Cass County Soil Conservation District, as well as River Keepers, and it's trying to get, a lot of our clients typically have been farmers, rural landowners. We're trying to get some exposure to the rural or the urban folks, and by doing this, partnering with Clay County, Cass County, and the River Keepers seems like a good fit for us. We're hoping to expand that into the other communities in Clay County, but we're just kind of getting our feet wet with this, and we have a little cost share program that we assist the landowners with offsetting some of the costs of these. So this has been something that has been kind of fun, and also something kind of new to us. So it seems to be expanding and building. I look at the buffer law implementation. Like I say, that one has just hit us in the last couple of years as taking a lot of our time, learning as we go. Definitely the legislative session that ends in May. Hopefully we'll have some finalization to it. We put together a second sheet that I got there, a little one-pager that the Board of Water and Soil Resources required us or asked us to put together for each county that throughout the whole state to present to the legislators. Last year there was a grant, a district capacity funds grant that was available to SWCDs, and in obtaining those funds, we were able to hire our person. We bought in the picture there, that's Gabe right there, he's the new employee. In the background there, you see a little four-wheeler, the Ranger. We bought that with it, and also we bought a sprayer unit for that unit, so we can assist not only our vendor that we hired to do county spraying, but also smaller spots that just seemed like it just didn't make sense for us to drive by to contact our vendor. Let's just take care of them ourselves. So those are things that we've hired. or have done on our own rather than having our hiree take care of that. Also some laptop computers, but also, like I said, that we've done the urban conservation, we've been able to cost share with some of those funds to assist landowners in purchasing the rain barrels and compost tumblers. The nitrate testing project, that's something that's brand new that came to our attention this year. The Minnesota Department of Agriculture contacted us, would we be willing to work with them to hold a nitrate testing clinic? We're actually having nitrate testing kits sent out to 1,100 landowners in Clay County. Primarily it's on the Beach Ridge area in the eastern part of the county where there's more sandy, granular type soils, but also high intensively row cropped. The problem with some of that combination is getting nitrate fertilizers, those type of things into our water systems. And those are the type of things they want to bring to the attention of the landowners, if there's some way that those can be averted. Maybe landowners don't even know what levels of nitrates are in their water, so it's something that we want to follow through on. That will be a test that will be going on this spring now. And also just last week, the University of Minnesota contacted us. They would like to do a tillage transect survey. There's 300 known points throughout the county, and we participated back in 2007, going out in the landowners' fields, basically checking on what type of crop was there last year, what amount of residue is maintained after planting, and there's just a study that we're working with the university on. So like I said, there are a lot of things going on in our office, besides the ones I didn't even mention there. We have our staff are up and running. This time of the year, like I say, is no-till drill season. Tree planting is upon us right now. Those are just things that, some of the ideas that we bring to you are things that we like to see partnering with you, and we appreciate your support over the years. Another thing I'd like to highlight is every other year our board holds a tour that we offer to you guys if you are willing and have the time to come and go on a half-day tour with us, to go out and take a look at some of our projects that we do. And I know we voted on it last week at the board meeting. We want to pursue that again this year. So you will be getting a notice. It usually is in the first part of September. So those of you that have been on before, you're definitely welcome to come again. And some of we have a brand new supervisor on our board this year, so we're hoping that he can attend. And Commissioner Haney, we're hoping that maybe it would fit your schedule. Maybe we'll talk to you to see.
We'll make it happen.
That sounds good. We'd love to have you. So, any questions?
I have a question on this nitrate testing. That's for wells, right?
It is, yeah, it's for rural wells. So, a lot of in the eastern part of the county, there's a lot of shallow wells that we have out there. We did a study probably 15 years ago with the Department of Agriculture, because there were some complaints out in King Township, Highland Grove Township, Cromwell Township, where nitrate levels were concerned. So we had done something we always have a booth at the county fair that we staff each year. We held some nitrate testing clinics where landowners could bring in a sample of water and have it tested right there. But this year is going to be, we're partnering with a lab out of Detroit Lakes, RMB Laboratories, and they're going to be in conjunction with us getting a mailing to go out with a little water sample kit that's going to be mailed out to the landowners. And we're hoping that people will take advantage of that. I think a lot of that unknowns, if you hear of like blue babies, basically blood can't carry oxygen. This high nitrates in your water is one of the symptoms of that.
The reason do you do the testing, or did they bring it in? The reason I'm asking is I know the Commissioner of Agriculture was speaking here at the frying pan a couple weeks ago, and he was talking about 1,400 wells that he tested in the southern part of the state, and 100 of them tested for high nitrates, and he didn't think we had that much of a problem up here, but just saying that the eastern part of our county we do, huh?
Like I say, you get in that Beach Ridge area, that's where our gravel deposits are, and those are more apt to bleach the water. And there's a lot of shallow wells out there. There's some sand points, maybe 40, 50 feet deep, that people are using. So there was some concern a number of years ago too, where there's a few center pivot irrigation systems up on the ridge up, if you know where the B-Bar-B Ranch and that area is, and high water table in those areas, but you start pumping those irrigation and those water levels drop. So a lot of the landowners up in that area that were having some problems with when the wells were pumping, they weren't having any water. And like I say, those shallow sand points, basically 40, 50 feet deep, the water supply to their households were being impacted.
So in that type of land, the buffer law isn't that big of a deal then, huh? I mean, it is a bigger deal.
Frank, it is a big deal.
Yeah, I didn't mean to put it that way, but when you get sandy land,
It's a little bit different than clay land. Clay land, the water doesn't go down as much, but whereas in sandy, the water goes down. It's not really going into the drainage ditches and stuff.
You know, and you get to the eastern part of the county, that's where we have our wetlands that are still, potholes, those type of things. So all of those, on this public waters inventory map, that's where our wetlands are, most of them are still located. A lot of them in west of Highway 9, a lot of those have been drained over the years, so those aren't falling into this category of public waters anymore. But those wetlands that are indicated on the map as being high priority wetlands, have a classification of having some shoreline regulation to them, those are still in need of having a 50-foot buffer. So there is, regardless of that location up there, the eastern part, you get the Beach Ridge, then you get Uland Township, Goose Prairie, Highland Grove. Some of those areas have some pretty heavy clayey soils, and that's where we're seeing a lot of our wetlands in those part of the county. So those landowners that are in those areas that have the wetlands showing up on the map, they are still going to be needing to have that buffer added on. So.
Yeah, I was just going to see how the nitrate testing's coming out. I mean, how many of our wells are testing with high nitrate?
We're interested also. Like I say, there's going to be 1,100 letters that were sent out, and hopefully 1,100 landowners will get a water sample kit. And what percent gets turned in, I guess we're hoping to see a good turnabout. But like I say, it's just the Department of Ag wanted to highlight those Beach Ridge townships. So we've got, like I said, 11 townships in that Beach Ridge area.
Thank you.
one brief comment. Again, big thank you, for our collaboration together, and we certainly enjoy having Commissioner Monjo on our meetings most every month, and same with Commissioner Gross over the last couple of years. Transition, as we work with buffer laws and all these other things that come from the legislature. Our next one that we'll be moving to during this year will be our one watershed, one plan. And that's coming up. And we just we're approved by Bowser with our water plan for the next 10 years. The watershed's got theirs in place. You all do. And we signed a resolution at our Thursday meeting. I think yours is in April 19th, which is tomorrow. The Buffalo Red will send that into the state. So we'll be on our way, and we'll see how that project goes over the next few years. So, but thank you very much. And to Kevin and our staff, it's fun having a group of people that just really show initiative and are really committed. So we feel very fortunate. So.
Thank you for your comments, Paul.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Thank you, Kevin. All right, our next item is a department update from Ben Anderson from the Regional Extension.
Morning.
Morning, Ben. Ben is the Regional Extension Director for our area, and he's housed right here on campus.
Yes, sir. Glad to be here. We're filling up our space quickly over there. Always looking for more. So thanks for the time this morning. I'm happy to be here to let you know of our work here in the county, but also, like Kevin is indicating, our presence here in Moorhead with our regional staff. So I'll kind of give an overview of our staff and our advisory committees that we have working with us in the county, and then focus on mainly our 4-H and horticulture and agriculture programming here. So the first chart you can see there lists our 5 county staff here. Mitzi and Lisa cover our 4-H programming. Mitzi is full-time. Lisa Kassenbauer is a half-time employee, and $10,000 of Lisa's time is provided through a grant funding that we received through Glendon Farms a few years ago. I think we're in the 3rd year of that funding. It's a 5-year award that they had given us. And then Randy Nelson is a full-time educator for our horticulture and agriculture work. The 3 of them, Mitzi, Lisa, and Randy, if you remember, are the staff that the county contracts with the university for through our agreement. We are in the 2nd year of a 3-year agreement for those employees. And then in the county, we also have Rosie Gonzalez. She's a nutrition and SNAP-Ed educator. She's funded through federal SNAP-Ed dollars, but mainly does her work here. She's started to do a little programming in Norman and Becker County as well, but mainly focuses on the low-income communities here on food literacy, access, cooking skills, and related issues. And then Heather Weber is our support staff in the county office, and she's a county employee. Then in our regional office, which is just across the hall in the Family Service Center from the county office, we now have 16 employees there. Since my last update to you, we've added a youth development educator, a leadership and civic engagement employee, and then also the agricultural business management educator. So we've been happy with those additions to the staff. They really round out the office, I think, with the work that they do and how it aligns with the region and the counties around here. So a little bit about some of these employees, the youth development folks, and I would say all of these, we all work anywhere from 5 to 10 counties in the area that we cover regionally. We also have a couple in youth development statewide educators and program leaders that have even greater responsibilities and coverage. But the youth development educators, they provide supervision to the county program coordinators in the area, and then also training and program support. The health and nutrition educators, they focus on kind of broader community initiatives here, such as like community gardens. They do work with the Cass Clay Food Commission, and also provide supervision to the SNAP Ed educators like Rosie. And then we have the operations and administrative staff. They just provide broad support across the region to all these folks and their programs. We also have University of Minnesota Extension has a number of employees that we share appointments with NDSU on, and these mostly reflect the agricultural industry of the Red River Valley. So we now have 2 folks working on sugar beet research, Mohammed Khan and Tom Peters. Andy Robinson works on potatoes. Travis Hoffman is a new hire working on sheep. And then Nikki Johnson is also a new hire working on community health and nutrition. On the flip side of that page, I was going to mention a couple advisory committees. So each of our counties, we have an extension advisory committee, and these are always made up of 2 commissioners, the county auditor, and then 6 at-large members of the county, residents of the county, that provide a good representation of our programming and have an interest and an involvement of our programming. And so this is our current county extension committee members. And so you can see their the kind of the role that they play or the interest that they have in our programming. It covers most of our focus here in the county, and they're pretty much from communities across the county as well. And then their role is to help us not only guide our program, but work with us on our annual budget to the county as well. And then our Dean of Extension, Bev Durgan, she has a statewide Citizens Advisory Committee, and they're made up of probably about 10 to 15 people from across the state. But there are 2 people from Clay County that are on that committee, Jerry Arneson and Noreen Thomas, both from the Moorhead area. And you can see the kind of perspectives and experiences that they bring and provide guidance to the dean. So it's good to have that local representation as well. So on our 4-H youth development programming in the county, we're traditionally known, as you know, for our community clubs, and these are the kids that might do livestock projects or other projects at the county fair. They learn in a traditional club setting with their neighbors and friends, and this is our current lineup of community clubs, 11 of them. This is an increase, and in each of these clubs we've seen either steady consistency or increase in either the youth participants or the adult volunteers. We also, in Clay County, just because of the diversity of the county, having a large city like Moorhead and, more typical rural communities, we have a pretty robust and strong program with 4-H, and that's reflected in the the next few charts on our project clubs and our variety of county programs and teams and the after-school programming. So through all these different avenues of 4-H programming, we can reach all sorts of youth across the county from different backgrounds and different interests and perspectives. Some of the things we've been able to increase have been in the after-school and community programs. The community education that we do in 5 schools, that's countywide with programming in Ulen, Hawley, Barnesville, Glendon, and Dilworth for 1st through 5th graders. Our summer adventure program is also reaches a lot of youth, as you can see, about 230 of them. And we also do a number of partnerships in the county with other youth organizations. So we go in and we train them on our curriculum and our programming, and then they in turn use that with their own youth that they serve. So, for example, the summer adventure programming, we share that with the Fargo-Moorhead Youth Commission and the Boys and Girls Club. And then that they share with their youth in Moorhead, so that reaches an additional 620 youth. So 4-H county events and educational opportunities, we do a lot of efforts for our new members. So we've started these new member gatherings where we welcome all the new families that are coming into 4-H in an event. And this helps them get established as a group, but also offers a lot of hands-on activities where they can explore different project areas to consider that they focus on. We also give them some resources to help with just kind of getting started in 4-H. We have some special focuses on STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. We also do garden-related programming in the summer. And we also provide training for our youth officers. So we have our youth involved with everything. So they're running the meetings. They are learning things that you might use here, like parliamentary procedures and so on. They get this information at a young age. So we provide training on them for those skills to help them with their work within 4-H. Another goal we've had is to increase our after-school program. Like I said, one of those areas has been at the Horizon Middle School, where we've done a new after-school program there. That's gained us 31 new 4-H members. With the volunteer development, one thing I want to highlight there is the growing volunteers in vision and action. This is a strategic planning process that all our county 4-H programs are going through across the state. And Clay County is one of the current ones that have gone through it. This is a 3-month strategic planning process. We establish focus groups of 4-H youth, community leaders, 4-H parents and volunteers, and we basically get ideas and expertise from them on where the program should go in the future. And their 3 goals are to, some of them which we're already reaching, providing more programs for middle and high school youth, creating clear messages and materials to help people join 4-H, and then increasing and improving our community partners and leaders and clubs. We also do fall volunteer training, and this is kind of another reflection of the training that we provide throughout the year for the families and the youth with their responsibilities within 4-H. And then we're looking forward to the county fair. It's our major showcase, of course, and event, July 13th through the 16th. Last year we had 282 youth, showed 370 animal exhibits and 1,600 non-animal exhibits. And then we had 87 youth attend the state fair and other states program competitions. And again, just as our community clubs and 4-H members are increasing, these are all increasing as well, our county fair statistics. And then we also, as you know, when you go to the 4-H buildings at the fair, they're pretty active in the center of a lot of activity. We do a lot of extra programming there just for people that are coming to the county fair. So Lisa does a great job organizing all the learn by doing exhibits that we have there. So these give opportunities and experiences related to plant pathogens, physics-related programming. They get to build birdhouses and fishing rods. We work with a lot of community partners on our making a strong county fair experience and presence for everybody. So on Randy's work with horticulture and agricultural issues, a couple of research projects that he focuses on in Hawley and Dilworth are the grape trials and the rose trials. And both of these are looking at new varieties that we're trying to research their winter hardiness, their input conditions. There's just sustainability in our climate. And Randy's been recognized as a leader in both of these, but mainly in the rose trial work that he's doing here in Dilworth. He also does a number of workshops throughout the year. Some of the ones that he's focusing on this year are related to pollinators. This is a continuing issue in our communities around the state. Just making sure that we have good habitats for bees and other pollinators and try to reduce the threats when we can. And then more garden-related things such as apple tree grafting. And then our Master Gardener program is important here, the volunteer work that they do and that Randy guides. A couple of their visible projects that they work on are the grounds here at the courthouse, and then there's some garden space by Shields downtown here in Moorhead that they maintain as well. And then they also assist him with his research. And then on the agriculture and crop side, he's involved with the small grains updates that we do for farmers every year. And then he also provides the private pesticide applicator training for farmers and others in the area. So that's kind of the overview of what we're focusing on, and we appreciate the county's partnership and continued support with all our work. Any questions I can answer?
Yeah, no question. I just do want to comment on the 4-H program. That is very active, and I mean, you want to see how active they are, just come to the Clay County Fair. They are really out there doing a lot of things, and it's just good to see all the participation. I mean, that's some good numbers there. I think got over 300 kids, right around 300 kids involved in that. That's a very good program.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ben.
Thanks. Have a good day.
Mr. Berg. We were going to do some follow-up on our discussion last week on more business association membership, as well as you inquired on some others.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the commission. I guess this is really your guys' discussion is whether you want to join the Moorhead Business Association. You can see in my memo that I did check with the other smaller cities around Clay County to see what like clubs they have, and also touch base with Lori Johnson to see if this is an acceptable expenditure. And she said it is, and so I guess it's open for your discussion.
Well, I brought this up last week, and I know Commissioner Moser made the comment too that we should research other communities, see what they have. And one of the things we want to make sure of is we have to distinguish the difference between an association like this and EDA services.
That's correct.
We have our own EDA, and so does Moorhead, and so does Barnesville, and some of those other areas. But my purpose in suggesting that we should be at the table on this, and I'll say it again, is, you know, the purpose of the MBA is to help current businesses stay in business, as well as attracting new businesses to Moorhead. And by doing that, that's also good for Clay County, and I think it's an important tool that we need to have in economic development. We're members of the Chamber of Commerce, we're members of the Greater Fargo Moorhead Economic Development, and as a matter of fact, the amounts that we pay in terms of dues to those places are considerably more than what this one is, and this one pays attention to Clay County, Moorhead, our biggest city in Clay County. And I would certainly encourage us to do the institutional membership on this. That's my 2 cents worth, or $500 worth.
That was a nickel's worth.
Do we need a motion?
Yes, we need a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to join as institutional membership?
Institutional?
It's, So what's the difference between introductory membership and institutional membership?
Introductory is like for a business to get them started on it.
Okay, but institutional,
It's like for Clay County or Morehead State or,
Yeah, we just felt that institutional described what the county is to the business association. We're not a business selling membership. We're an institution that is supporting and promoting the function. Was our discussion, I guess.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
aye.
Opposed, the same sign. And I think you did in your memo to the board, Brian, you did talk about the reaching out, and if any of those other communities do respond with something, you should bring it back to us, because we certainly don't want to just, if it's good for Moorhead, if other communities have it, we should help them as well.
Absolutely, I understand that, yep.
All right, thank you, Brian.
Are we planning on sending a board member to these meetings, and or what's the?
Well,
or we're just gonna be a member?
I think we can address that. I know there's, I've already talked to Colleen. If this was approved today, I'm gonna be asking to go to they have an annual, meeting tonight, and I hope to go to that tonight, just to get a report on what they're doing, and then they do have weekly breakfast meetings. If we want to have somebody partake in that, I'm gonna go when I can, but I don't know that it really needs to be a per diem deal. We're not gonna really be voting other than giving input into, its successes, so.
and they also have Thursday night, 560 Connect.
Yes, yeah, and those are.
Thursday evening,
Yeah.
5 to 6.
And we can update the board too on those times, and then, I don't know that we need to have a delegate to, we can ask, them if they.
You can see how it goes and see if you
Right.
want to
Yeah, okay,
assign a person.
very good. We did vote, yes, we did, okay.
Yes, you did.
All right, then we'll go right into our next item, and that's the replacing of the concrete apron for the campus maintenance building.
Well, thank you again, Mr. Chair. As in my memo it stated that as they demolished the ramp to the maintenance building, Joe's here, yeah. As they demolished the ramp to the maintenance building, they got down to the cement slab down there. I don't know if Joe brought it to my attention or whatever, but I was over at the maintenance building, and that cement slab at the bottom drains that whole system down there, and that is cracked. It should have been replaced, and frankly, that's how Joe and I felt strongly. So we did call the members of the campus improvement committee. All have viewed it. I said most. All now have viewed it, and our estimate was around $20,000, or that was my estimate of $20,000. We did get a price from construction engineers, and I think a very favorable price of $11,282 for as much as that is covering. I think that's a very reasonable price. This is not part of the jail project. This is part of the capital improvement plan, and after our balance in the capital improvement plan, after the juvenile center is at 171,000 or something like that. But it's something that we would really be neglectful in not improving it at this time. So I would ask for any comments from the committee, and ask for your approval on going forward with this.
Well, after reviewing that, it's not a situation should we do it or not. It's a situation we have to do it. I mean, the drain, the way it's set there now, the water's gotta go up to get into the drain, it's just, it's not in there right, so it's gotta be done, it's cracked, needs to be replaced, and I think it needs to be done. I'll make a motion to approve this.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Well, I'm glad you brought it to our attention now, because it would have been more than $11,000 later.
Yeah,
The fact that they're right now and doing that kind of work.
That's right.
Thank you for doing that. All right, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign?
Thank you, Mr.
Motion
Chair.
carried. Thank you. Our next item is the presentation of the guaranteed maximum price on the law enforcement center. The next going to come up, representing the construction engineers. I don't know if Sheriff and Chief Evander, if you guys want to come up for this, or you can find it there. Okay, all right. Sure. You're welcome to come up if you want to. You have an important role in this. I think we're going to get some good news this morning.
I think so. I believe the last time we were here to review the design development budget, Scott with Klein McCarthy Architects said if he's not here for the GMP presentation, that's a good thing. And
he's not here.
I haven't seen him yet, so.
They're not coming.
So Brian, do you have any opening comments you want to make?
Well, I do, Mr. Chair, thank you, members of the commission. If you remember, about a month and a half, 2 months ago, you received a presentation from Klein McCarthy and Construction Engineers. And if you have your old information, the guaranteed price estimate is like $14,700,000, and for a total cost, I think on that sheet of $16 million something. So today, the bids have been let. Construction engineers have gone through all of the different bids, and I think they have 40 or 42 subs that they've identified. They are making a recommendation. I shouldn't say making a recommendation. They've gone through with going with the construction manager at risk. It's not a recommendation to the board. It is they are proposing a guaranteed maximum price to you at this time today. And I think it's kind of important that when we started out with the adding the law enforcement center at this time, we were estimating in the area of $16 million to add that. That was unacceptable to you as a group. Then we were trying to center in on a $10 million law enforcement center, and we soon realized that that was impractical because it wasn't going to meet the needs of current and future growth. Then we started looking at a construction cost of around $12.5 million. And the way it looks today, we're very close to that. Yep. Because there's some addition that brings up to $13 million, but with the retention pond age and different things along those lines. But the construction cost of the law enforcement center, not including the property and the parking that goes with it, but is just shy of $13 million. So I think we're very close to the second estimate that we talked about in regards to the law enforcement center, which makes us feel pretty good. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to construction engineers.
Good morning.
Right. Good morning. Morning. So just running through the proposal package here, starting with the first tab, which would be the bid tabs. So just a little update on that. We received over 160 bids that we reviewed, which was pretty outstanding coverage across the board in every contract category for the most part. We went with the low bidder in most cases. There were a few exceptions to that, where if in reviewing their bids, the low bidder proposed items that did not meet the spec. If in case they had an incomplete bid where they were excluding something that should have been included in their bid, in a few cases. And with the jail going on across the street, there were a few bidders that bid that project that are critical to the schedule on that project. So we reviewed their manpower, and in a few cases we determined that we would want them to focus primarily on that project because they're both going to be pretty tight schedules. So other than that, it's pretty straightforward. Viewing the tabs, everything, every contractor in yellow would be what we're recommending with our overall package. And then if you flip to the next tab, which is the bid package recap, this is where we plug in all the numbers for our GMP. And then on the description on the left, we have kind of a summary of their scope of work under each contract category. So scrolling through to the fourth page of that second tab is a summary of our GMP. So we have the bid package subtotal at $10,665,000, and then below that we have our general conditions for site supervision, field office trailers, anything that goes into managing the site. and then our fees per our contract included in that. And then down below, as Brian had mentioned, our construction GMP total is at just over 13 million, so.
And Mr. Chair, that includes a $250,000 contingency, so
Yeah.
when I was talking about the construction being under 13 million, and that's also the construction manager's fees are in there, and things, so the construction costs.
Yeah, I want to comment on that. We discussed that and actually requested that construction contingency owner's construction contingency be put back in.
And that's
Yeah.
summarized on the next
Yeah,
tab
and it
here.
is summarized, but I do want to state the importance of that, as noted by the owner contingency that we have on the jail, and as we have coming up, we have a significant issue that arose on the groundwork, and the importance of having that contingency built so that in our funding mechanism. So that's kind of crucial that we have that on.
Exactly. So if everybody will go to this spreadsheet on the third tab, run through that quick. And this is our side-by-side comparison of our previous budget estimate is in comparison to our GMP that we're proposing today. So if you go down to the second solid blue line for building construction totals, you can see on the left under the design development estimate, we were projecting just under $12.2 million costs. And if you go to the right column on that dark blue line, you can see that our GMP budget is just over 11 million. So that's approximately 1.1 million less than we had budgeted previously. Similarly, the site construction cost budget in the solid green line, we were projecting in our design development estimate 1.16 million, including the retention pond in that number. And as numbers came in, we came up with 887,000, so approximately 275,000 less. A million there, but going below that, you can see that our fees, as construction costs reduce, our fees totals actually decreased as well. And also we zeroed out the design contingency because now that design's complete, we don't need that contingency anymore. So below that, you'll see again our $13 million GMP, or just over 13 million in comparison to the 14.75 we had projected previously. So approximately 1.75 million less than our previous design development estimate there. And then down below that, the soft cost didn't change a whole lot here other than what Brian and Commissioner Campbell had mentioned, the 250,000 added to owner contingency was put into soft costs, and then that brings us to a total project budget of $14,662,000. So approximately 1.77 million less than our previous DB projection there. So I think all in all, it came out pretty good. As I mentioned, the coverage and the interest in the project was outstanding. Over 160 bids to review. About approximately 50% of the contractors that are on the jail will be awarded this project. But we utilized for the budget, we utilized a lot of the jail numbers. So that's kind of how we put our budget together previously, but I think a lot of the subcontractors knew what those numbers were, so a lot of them came in pretty aggressive to try to beat that, so it turned out pretty well for us in that aspect. So
I think it's safe to say back when we were looking at this and we had asked you the question about could we see any savings by doing them at the same time of LEC and the correctional facility, and obviously these numbers are showing that paid off.
Exactly.
So it's good news for the taxpayer.
yeah, felt pretty good. So one thing I didn't mention, the next tab is the alternates.
So just before you go there, I think
yep.
Commissioner Moser wanted to-
I just want to comment, I appreciate this graph. I was really hard on you in February because I was really concerned at how
Right.
much the price had ballooned. So I'm thankful that bids came in more reasonably and anytime you can scrap $2 million from a project, I think that's a good start, so thank you.
Yeah, very good
Yeah,
news.
but- yeah, I'd just say it's really great news, and I think it's a credit to Brian and the sheriff and the police chief and their staffs working with construction engineers and our architects to see that this happened this way, so it's great news. It could have been $2 million more, so it's actually a $4 million savings. Well, could have come out that way, so.
Right. Thank you.
All right, well, very good. So, okay, you continue.
Yeah, I was gonna touch on the alternates. So, right now, we had alternates to go with either asphalt paving or concrete paving. We plugged in concrete paving into our GMP. So as you can see on fourth tab, alternate 1, if you would want to go with asphalt paving for whatever reason, it would be approximately a $31,000 deduct. And then alternate 2 is the in-slab heat at the front main entrance area. So we plug that into the GMP to be included as well. So if you would want to remove that for any reason, it would be approximately a $12,500 deduct, so.
Is that in-slab heat to prevent icing at the entrance?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's
Boy, I think that's
It's a
important.
good idea, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, whether you were planning on taking that out or not, because I think that's a good thing to have there.
We have, it's built into the.
It's included in the GMP.
And the price
Okay,
of
well,
the
saying here, you
concrete
take it out,
rather than
it's
asphalt, which is good too.
Yeah.
No, we don't need to do that.
Very good.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the next tab would be our proposal letter. Basically just kind of summarizes everything we discussed. As we mentioned, we're including a 2% construction contingency of $255,000 approximately. One thing to point out is that the landscaping, we have an allowance of $29,100. In there isn't a design on that. So we're proposing a design build type deal. And that would be our budget for that to complete that, so. Yeah. Next page would be just the project schedule that was included in the specifications. And as it stands right now, we're projecting a June 26, 2018 move-in date for the law enforcement center. So pretty aggressive schedule, but I think we can do it.
Fantastic. So, we need a motion to accept the gross maximum price offer.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on that?
Mr. Chair, with the guarantee, with the motion, include the $250,000 owner contingency, or would you want to do that by separate motion?
We can include that, I think, in this motion. It's part of the, yeah.
Yeah, it's part of it.
Well, it's actually not part of the,
It's not part of the GMP.
guaranteed part, but it's total, it's part of that total 14 million. So,
Just add that it's included in the
okay,
motion.
that meets your, okay, so that does include it in the motion.
Thank you.
Does that meet your second? Okay. All right, any further discussion?
Well, I would just like to comment, I mean, I think this is a very good plan here, and it just shows that, I think that our decision a long time ago to hire construction engineer really paying off for us, I think, and really appreciate what you're doing.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you for those comments. All right, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Motion carried. One other thing, we are, while we're here, we are gonna be doing a groundbreaking thing that we're gonna, coming up here in the near future, but I would like to request also that we, now that this is done, it's gonna be fences up and construction starting here very, very soon, and I would like the board to consider doing the same thing in terms of those necessary change order issues that we did with the jail to also be done with the LEC. And again, we're gonna have an issue today that exceeded that 20,000, so it's coming before us. Fortunately, it did not. It's not gonna be anything that's slowing anything down at this point. But I would suggest that we have that same process for the LEC. So I'm putting that out there for the board's discussion. If we can do that, I'd like to just get it done with now. So,
Mr. Chair, we make a motion to approve the $25,000 change order with the approval of the two members of
That's what I'm talking about, that same thing.
Mhm. That we had on the apron, you're talking about, on that apron?
I'll make a
Same thing.
motion to approve that.
Second?
We have a motion, and a second. Further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. All right, very good. Thank you.
Did we vote on the other
We
one?
got the other motion, the first one.
Oh, we
We didn't vote on that yet, we just
I
discussed
thought we
it.
did vote on it.
I don't think so.
Yeah, we voted on it.
Did we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay, what am I thinking?
Okay, so what am I missing?
The change order.
You got a good memory, but it's short.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'd like to propose the change order.
I just made that motion.
No, I'm sorry.
Is this a separate change order? now?
Yes.
Are you back on the correct?
I'm going back to the construction facility and the underground tanks now. I was
Okay,
gonna go-
all right, yeah, that's,
Not
yeah,
back
that's,
to, going to,
yeah, that's the next item, yeah. Okay,
Sorry.
so that's,
I was jumping ahead.
yeah, that's, okay, so why don't we move right into
Yeah,
that?
that's not on there. We just
Yeah.
agreed that we'd talk
Oh,
about that
yeah.
at this time for the
Right.
motion on it. And Nick can certainly describe this too, but in layman terms, when you start digging, that is probably the most dangerous time for change orders because you never know what you're going to find. What we've discovered is that there was a smaller, older hospital that was built over in that corner years and years ago before this hospital was built. So when they started digging, they have found now 2 submerged tanks of about 7,500 gallon capacity each. They have some liquid of some kind in
Some
there.
kind of petroleum-based liquid that, yes, that
Right.
we've pumped out of there, so.
So it's been pumped, they are having it tested, they're gonna pull the tanks out, then they have to test all of the soils before they can fill, or remove, decide what they're gonna fill, and so, but on Friday, they told me, thought that it would be probably in that $25,000 range, but yesterday at our construction meeting, you were talking 41,000 some odd dollars is their guesstimate. This is quite critical that it continue to move forward on it. So, but we promised that we would bring information to this board as quickly as possible when we know something, and especially if it's within, in excess of the 25,000. So, anyway, what?
Yeah, the 41,000 is kind of an estimate put together based on T&M rates provided by the.
Time and materials.
Yeah, time and material estimate put together by the, excuse me, pardon. Put together by the earthwork contractor to remove the tanks. What that doesn't include right now is if there was something under the tanks, because right now we just kind of scraped off the top of them, and we're waiting for some tests to come back to figure out exactly what was in the tanks before we do anything. So we should be hearing back on that either tomorrow or early Thursday morning to know a little better. And then once we remove the tanks, it's hard to know for sure if they're stable enough on the bottom that they're not leaking. It's possible that, you know, you could pull them up and they didn't have any issues. The tops appear to be pretty solid and in good condition, but underneath we're just not sure right now. So that's kind of the.
So what is the 41,000, how
The
far
41
does that cover?
The 41,000 includes the testing, which they estimated approximately $10,000 in testing for soils and the actual liquid material, pumping of the fluid out of the tanks, and removal of the tanks. If there's any additional soils correction below the tanks under that, that's not included right now.
I remember back when Ben was talking to us, and this comes out of the owner contingency, which is a good reason why we have an owner contingency. And I remember Ben saying that the most likely area where you're going to spend your owner's contingency is going to be on groundwork, and that's proven to be the case here. We did have, I believe, was 298,000 in owner contingency, and this will come out of that. So it's still falling so far within that area. So
How much is this setting us back?
Time-wise, we don't feel it is.
No, it's, we got plenty of other areas to work over by the ramp, and it's a big enough site that we can, you know, work around it for the time being. But as Brian had mentioned, it's critical to kind of get a decision to take care of it so we can keep moving forward. So once we get done in these other areas, we can take care of this and continue to move forward with the schedule, so.
I'll move the change order.
Second.
We have a motion and a second.
Yep.
Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign?
Okay,
Motion carried, all right.
okay, just to clarify, what was the 25,000 for?
Well, that gives Commissioner Whalen and I the authority to approve those on an emergency situation.
Okay, all right,
If it's
thank you.
over that, we come to the board, so.
For the law enforcement center. We already had it for the jail, but we didn't have it for the LEC.
Very good.
And then we still will bring those back to the board, but we do that for the purpose of not having
Not
it
stopping.
delayed.
Yeah.
at that stage. Very good. Thank you, Nick.
Thank you.
I think we've got
Thanks,
everything
everybody.
covered, right?
Good.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Chair,
Yeah.
Commissioners.
Thank you. All right, our next item, it's a little past 9:30, but we have we're having an appeal of the Planning Commission's decision to grant an interim use permit for Eric Sign for a banquet room event center. And this appeal is being brought by David Schroeder, okay, and this requires a public hearing?
It does.
And so I would request a
Mr.
motion
Chair,
to open.
I make a motion to open a public hearing.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Motion carried. We'll start off with a report from, and we do have a significant update that
You
was given
have
to us in our packet.
the whole packet in front of you.
Mr.
staff
Magnuson,
report,
your
permit, the information that came in from, at the time of the meeting. So I guess you have that in front of you. I do have a little slideshow to give you some idea as to where this property is. My voice goes away or I start into a coughing fit, please forgive me. It's gonna be a long day with planning commission and board of adjustment tonight. Anyway, back in February, Eric Sign applied to the planning commission for an interim use permit for home occupation. He currently has a building, about a third of which is utilized for home occupation, which is a catering business, Casey Joe's Catering. In our couple last little meetings down at CCRI, you've gotten to taste Casey Joe's Catering. Anyway, he has about 2/3 of the building that has been vacant up to this point or used for storage. He applied to utilize that as an event center banquet room on the property. City of Sabin down here, County Road 11, Buffalo River over here. This is the Sign property here. The green dots indicate where houses are up on the north side and the east side here. And there are some right down here too. I didn't get dots on them, but there is no bridge here. So if persons want to come in from the east side, they're either coming in across from a mile north or on this mile line south. This bridge has been gone for quite some time. Access to the property in general would be off County Road 11, either by way of this roadway or the roadway down here. This is just the layout configuration of Mr. Sign's building. Like I said, he's got a commercial kitchen over here. This is the area that he has available that he has requested to be utilized as an event center, banquet room. He would need to add additional restrooms to the site. That would need to be approved through our county environmental services folks. Just an overhead of the property and the building. You can see how close the Buffalo River is here. There's some floodplain issues on the property, but they shouldn't be major issues relative to the use. Indicates that parking is available in these areas here. More parking could be available down here. That parking is all in a floodway, but that's really, again, it's not an issue unless there's a flood. Storage of materials, parking lots, that sort of thing are uses in floodplains and floodways that are legitimate uses. as long as the vehicles can be moved in time, you know, so they don't sit
Go
there
down the water,
during the
yeah.
flood, yeah.
It'd be similar to our parking lot that we had over on the other side of Main Street.
Yep, yeah, as long as the lead time is enough, that, you know, and the Buffalo River tends not to jump up very high overnight, so. But anyway, parking in the floodplain is an allowable use. This is one of the concerns that was raised. This is an old cut-off oxbow here, and this corner does tend to flood at different times of the year. Here it is on the 25th of February of this year. So, you know, the Buffalo River is different than the Red River. It floods at a different time. Generally, the timing of the Buffalo River flooding and the Red River flooding is not necessarily concurrent, so. But you can see that that's the building that Mr. Syme is intending to use for his use. So you can see that there are some issues with flooding, but they don't directly impact the building, or at least they have not up to this point. This is the new floodplain map, so the floodway comes right up to the northeast corner of his existing building. And I know that in his application, he located a new septic tank over here. Well, he's gonna have to work with environmental folks on that, because we can't put septic systems or parts of septic systems in the floodway, so that'll have to go a different direction. The permit was heard in February by the Planning Commission. There was a lot of conversation on it. I believe that Commissioner Mojo was there.
And actually, Commissioner Campbell was there as well.
That's right. You were there that day too. It was heard, there was discussion held, and you do have in your packet, I suppose it's a few pages from the back, the conditions that were put on the permit, submission of a parking plan, the sanitary facilities and any food and beverage service has to be approved by the county environmental health folks. Days and hour of operations, 7 days a week from the 1st of September. This is not intended to be a year-round thing, and it actually is looking to operate in the off-season more than anything else. September through June. But the hours of operation were listed at 5 a.m. to 11 p.m. And I know that 5 a.m. has been brought up as whether that was a misprint, but I believe that 5 a.m. was thrown in there because the applicant did mention the ability to have breakfasts. If you're familiar with breakfasts that go on before deer hunting, things like that. The ability to have the facility opened that early for that type of use.
So you're saying June, July, and August, they will not be open?
Right. Yep. For the latter part of June and then July and August, they would not be open. At least not as an event center. They would be open as their catering. Alcoholic beverage service was limited to 4 p.m. to 11 p.m., 7 days a week, and security. Security needs to be provided by a licensed vendor, by the licensed vendor. That also means that alcohol is intended to be provided by a licensed vendor. The applicant does not have a liquor license, so he could not do that on his own. The maximum occupancy of the site, 125 people if the kitchen is not in operation, 99 if it is. There was a proposal to build a fence. There was some concern with people coming off the property to the south. The applicant has offered to build a fence on the south property line to try and keep people on his own property.
There is a tree line there, though.
There's a tree line there, yeah. I don't have pictures of how big it is, but, and then the general statement that the permit is null and void if it's not used in 12 months or longer, 12 or more consecutive months, or in this case, since it's an interim use, if the property is sold, the permit ceases, not to say that the new property owner could not apply for another permit for it, but that original permit would cease at the time the property is transferred. So that's, excuse me, that's kind of what came out of the Planning Commission. I know that Mr. Schroeder is here. I guess if you've got any questions of me.
All right, and I do see that
The applicant,
Yeah.
Mr. Schroeder is here and Mr. Sign is here.
right.
Both parties are here.
Well, this is being requested by Mr. Schroeder, so we'll ask to hear from him first. So, Mr. Schroeder, if you would care to come up to the podium, please, and for the record, for the public hearing, if you would state your name and address, please.
Thank you. My name is David Schroeder. I farm about a quarter of a mile south of Eric and Markel, and have lived there about 59 out of my 62 years. So I know the area pretty well. I'd like to also mention that my sister Roberta Teschendorf and my friend Paul Krabenoff are also here representing our feelings on the event center. I was going to kind of close on a few things, but I'll go ahead and quickly get through them. It is a waterway, riverway, whatever you want to call it, but some of the things I get concerned about living there all those years and whatnot is the amount of water that goes across Eric and Markel's land. So I'd like to point out that in no way can they possibly improve upon the land by raising up a parking lot or doing things like that. Eric has already added some parking, or whatever you want to call it, in front of his building on the west side. And it's not a lot. I don't think it's part of an issue as far as stopping water. If I could just point out right here, this has been sort of filled in and squared off. And I don't know if you needed permission for that or not. I don't really care myself because I believe the water can still get through here, but these areas in here are quite low and it slopes off. He has no basement in his house. He had to build it up high enough so that the planning commission would allow him even to set up a residence here. So I wanted to point that out. And since you've got this picture up, Tim, Tim, do you know approximately from this level down to the intersection what the elevation change is? It must be 50 to 80 feet.
I do not know. I
Okay.
can go find out.
So from here on, you are sloping downhill to the intersection. The intersection is in just a low point from all three directions now.
Yeah.
And that would be what, Tim, this intersection here?
Right.
Okay. So this slopes way down, this slopes way down, this slopes down gradually. There's a huge frost boil area here. And my point is this road's, this is a farm ag area. There's a wheat harvest, grain harvest, soybean harvest, corn harvest. There is quite a bit of trucking here from our fellow farmers. And so certain times of the day, the dust from here to there will go into the air and you'll basically almost have a whiteout. And I get concerned about things that could happen as far as people pulling out on the roads and trucking moving along here. I mean, it's a kind of a dangerous situation, and I just wanted to point that out, that maybe that should be taken into consideration. The road is quite sketchy. They call it a 30-foot road. It is a township road. It's pretty sketchy. I don't know if it is even 30 feet, but you're going to have truck meeting cars, truck meeting trucks. Let's see. And also one other point I would like to point out is, when Eric and Markel moved in and built their residence here, Eric had a business. It was a construction business, mainly dealing with concrete. So he had a few pieces of equipment and things like that. And then the catering thing came along, and then now they're wanting to move it to an event center. So I guess my point is that I would like to stop this at this point, because I feel this residence was really never intended to be a event center. I do think running a business out of your residence is good. We do it, we're farmers. But I kind of think, in my opinion, we should stop this at this point. And I often wonder if there is an advantage to Eric and Markel by even starting up a business there, because they can't expand upon it. There's a lot of liability. The Schroeder Farms land does border up right along here. As far as the fence is concerned, you know, he does have a tree line there. To me, that's good enough. Most of what's going to be happening is going to be to the north of the tree line. And honestly, I see fences create an awful lot of weed types of things. And honestly, during a high flood situation, 75, 97, 69, many other years, there's a lot of stuff that floats out of the woods. I just assume that it drift over and keep going to the north. Otherwise, I wind up picking up pickup load after pickup load. So to have a fence there really is not a big issue with me.
So, Mr. Schroeder, are you saying that if the board was to uphold the planning commission's decision, you do not care for condition number 6? You would rather not have that?
I don't see any a need for it.
Because I think that was, if I recall in my listening in that evening, I think that was also meant as another issue to help protect you as a neighbor, you know, and I don't know, this is a question for our county attorney. You know, we're here to either approve of or change the decision by the planning commission. Do we even have the authority to change any conditions that so we could?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, I didn't,
Sure.
I've never run across that before, so
And what's a fence? Is it a chain link fence? Is it a wooden fence? Is it 5 feet tall? Is it 2 feet tall? Is it 12 feet tall, you know? So, and how long is it? Does it go all the way down to the river? It's just, to me, it's just kind of a debatable point. And also, all of the activity really should be from this point on. My main concern really would be what we all have been young and we all have seen friends and whatnot. What happens if you get a little bit liquored up here and you come around or you come from town and I have a driveway right here approximately to get into the property and stuff. I really don't want people parking out in my fields or driving around, or there's a lot of things that happen out there. And you know, you wake up one morning and you wonder, gee, I have crop circles out in my fields. I'm wondering where they came from. But so I just feel that it is an ag area. It's pretty peaceful out there. I realize that the countryside has changed a lot because there's less farmers, but there's more equipment and they're moving. So I would like the commissioners would to also, if you don't mind, I'd like my sister to be able to speak to this and keep it close.
Sure, yeah, that'd be fine. I just so you know too, in our packet, we did get some written comments. Okay. I think the board is aware of some of the issues of concern. I know there were some issues about the potential of people driving after they've been drinking and that type of thing. We're aware of those issues already.
Okay.
So, you know,
thank you.
Yeah, so you're welcome to have your,
thank you.
You said your sister, but she can come up and give her name and address.
And one other item, well, maybe she'll mention this, but at the planning commission, we had quite a few of the neighbors from around the area come and represent, and so we weren't alone.
Right. We have all that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you. I'm Berta Teschendorf. I learned my lesson. I get 3 minutes. So bear with me. So I am here representing those 6 neighbors that live right around a quarter of a mile within that area. And we are concerned that it is going to impact our lifestyle going forward. One of the issues we have is the infrastructure simply is not there. The place to handle the center and keep the public safe. There are no lighted gravel roads. There are no stop signs or cross arms on the railroad crossings. 2 people have been killed in the last year, 2.5 years on those railroad crossings. So now we're going to be bringing all this traffic down 70th Avenue, and it's virtually a dust bowl. I use a paintbrush to take with me. Went to my brother's house a mile away, came back, used a paintbrush to clean all the dust off my car. During the winter, there are sometimes 48 hours before the snow drifts are removed from the roads. There are a lot of drifts. I would not make it even with my 4-wheel drive to work if it wasn't for my neighbor with a John Deere tractor. So please keep in mind that we're going to be sending people out here and measure the road. It's 22 feet wide only for a big chunk of that way going to Eric and Markel's home, only 22 feet wide. Second thing I have a concern, and one thing that wasn't addressed, a lot of the conditions were not mentioned in the notes. For instance, they talked about a roped-off area and an outdoor tent to allow for drinking. Now, they talked about 125 people being allowed inside the event center. Does that mean we're going to have several hundred more people outside in a tent and a roped-off area who are drinking? So does that also mean, during the planning commission, they talked about 50 parking spaces. Nothing has been captured in conditions from that meeting at that time. So that means we could have several hundred cars, porta potties perhaps out there to handle the people in the tent and the roped-off area. And does that mean that the doors will be open for amplified music to reach the tented area and the roped-off area, which will greatly impact those people? You can almost throw a stone across the river and hit 4 homes that are going to be right along there. You're going to have motorcycles in the parking lots. You're going to have people clicking and honking their car doors open and shut to lock it. It's just going to bring noise, and it will impact the way of life that we have experienced. This area was zoned, and we moved out there because it is a zoned farm area, and that's the lifestyle we really wanted. We wanted to have a peaceful, quiet area, and this infrastructure is not built for an event center. For all the years I've been out there, when they've had the catering events, they've driven up and down my road, and I actually, when I'm mowing my lawn, have to make sure I'm not going to get a face full of dust every time I'm mowing my lawn. So please, along with me and our other neighbors, please don't allow the event center to happen. Thanks.
Mr. Chairman, Paul Kravinoff is here, and he's an old family friend. I just wanted you to know that, but could he speak to this a little bit?
Yes, it's a public hearing. We'll allow anybody the opportunity who wants to come up and be heard. Paul, come on up if you so choose.
Thank you. Paul Kravinoff, lifelong friends with the Schroeders, and very familiar with the areas. I, in my early days, spent a lot of time in that river and that area and around the farmstead. Probably the biggest things that I want to bring up in this, it to me, you know, and I've been on the planning commission, you know, a number of years. I'm not on it this time, obviously, but I look at the intrusiveness of this permit, of its request, where it's located among 7 families that live within a half mile, according to Tim's, has noted in his comments. The other part, even in the direction of the roads coming in, roughly 1.25 miles to 1.5 miles of gravel, virtually on every direction into it. I drove there last night, and there's no exaggeration about the dust. And now we take potentially, and I don't know, Berta mentioned 50 vehicles, I read 100 parking spots. We're talking about the potential of 100 cars in, 100 cars out. And just the dust control, along with the safety, I think is just, in my opinion, it'd be really hard to control and be an impact on the neighborhood. And the other part of public safety that I speak to is when we bring in alcohol. And again, my opinion, I think alcohol increases risk to public safety. And I look at the time ability, or in the permit, what they've offered, or what has been, as I read in the minutes, is think about this. 288 consecutive days of potential music from 5 a.m., or excuse me, let me get back here. Yeah, or I'm sorry, from let's see, 5 p.m., excuse me, till 10, and then having alcoholic beverages from 4 p.m. till 11 p.m., 7 days a week, starting, again, September 1st all the way through June 15th. Now, I don't know how you know, is he going to have 288 straight days? Probably not. But when you do these type of things, we're doing it for a reason. It's for commercial business to start in an area that isn't a commercial zone, and we certainly hope that they succeed. So I don't think the chance of this staying small is going to stay, it's going to grow. You hope it does for the gentleman, if so allowed. But I just think there, when you start bringing into an area that confined to one corner along the river, I just think it heightens these type of risks to the neighborhood and to the people going out there with the roads. Last thing I want to say is about the floodway. The floodway does, if I'm correct, Tim, hits the corner of the building, correct?
By the map, yes.
So now we're going to improve a property in the floodway. Personally, I got a problem with that. I just don't think that's the right way to be encouraging business. The other part is, I think there's a great chance, as we're, working in the Fargo-Mart area now, even is concerned with FEMA raising the floodplain again. Last time the map went up, when they built this building, it wasn't in the floodway. Now it is. What about the next time FEMA comes in? So now all of a sudden we're going to have the building in the floodway, perhaps, if they raise it again. And then what? We go back and buy businesses out? I don't know. I don't think we want to go there. So I would really encourage you not to move forward with the permit in this area. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Do we have anybody else who wishes to speak?
I'm Keith Teschendorf. I'm Berta's husband. We live right up in the middle there on 70th Avenue. Like my wife said, when it snows out, but if you drove out there today, half of that road from County 11 to 52 is, for small cars, is almost impassable with a light rain. With a heavy rain, it's got 3 or 4 frost boils. You get down close to the stop sign, it's got 3 or 4 frost boils, soft spots that are there all the time. From our property, when they close that road, you can just barely see the top of the stop sign a lot of times in the spring. And sometimes even in June, if you get a heavy rain, it's going to flood. We've already got a lot of trucks, and the first thing I thought about when they started talking about safety was that semi in the fog that went over the line on a paved road with a line and hit that 16-year-old and killed him. We're talking about a road probably half that wide that comes down off of 70th Avenue and 80th Street there. It's far less than 30 feet wide. And if you get a lot of traffic on there and there's no wind, that dust is just going to hang in the air. That's the only other thing I want to say is that it's just, to me, it's a hazard. And I know what it is like to be out there mowing when the dust comes by, because I mow a lot of the ditch. The other thing is, we right now don't have very many beer cans in the ditch, but we do have a few occasionally. And I don't want to be picking up 50 beer cans before I mow the ditch every week.
Would anybody else like to be heard?
Floor or yes?
Either one. Eric, if you want to come up, you're welcome to come up.
My name's Eric Syme. I live at 7214 80th Street. This is Markel Bradden, Parkland Crime. Same address. We just want a banquet room. We're not, whatever, if it's 99 people, it's not 99 people in the banquet room and another 200 outside. It's limited, and it's not open to open public. Has to be reserved. So we will have a count of how many cars and stuff. For dust control, every year we do 1,000 feet from our approach here, 500 that way and 500 this way. With the fence, I'm with Dave. I mean, if he doesn't want it, I understand that. And basically, we want to use it for, basically in the winter. So, you know, we might even start it up November 1st and go through maybe till April, May. You know, we said June for graduation parties, so. But other than that, the alcohol, there will be no over-serving, there will be no parking lot drinking, and the only reason why I know that is because my neighbors will keep a darn close watch on us. So, other than that, is there any?
I think you've covered it all.
Okay, well, I appreciate it, thank you.
So if I can ask, in your business plan, when you were going through and determining this, did you in your mind have an idea of how many events you would do in a season that you're open?
I guess it depends. I mean, it's catering's the same way. I guess we don't see every weekend or every day. We're not going to start it up at 100 people or 125. I think we'll start around 40, make a set 40, and then start working our way, you know, gradually grow it instead of, you know, putting 100 people in there and having chaos or whatever. Just see where it needs to be and hold it at that. But I don't predict all the time. So, because if we get 3 big jobs that are not around the place, I mean, we take the bigger jobs. So, and we definitely do way bigger jobs than 99 people. So.
And you still intend to cater?
Correct. Yeah. This is just an option, or this will be a plus for our business in the wintertime for slow times. So, I mean, it will help us out a lot. But I don't, and then I added on there, that's for a tent for our wedding. We're putting a 40 by 80 foot tent on there. So that's why I raised it up. I didn't really raise it for parking. But we're getting married in September, so. And then to put a tent on for what Berta said, we're not going to do that, just for our wedding. But we're not going to do that. It's just, everything's going to be inside. We're going to do our darndest to keep the noise down. And for the dust on the intersection, it's 1,000 feet. So 500 this way and 500 that way. So,
Right.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Right, thank you. Do we have anybody else who wishes to be heard during the public hearing? Do we have any questions of commissioners while the hearing is open? Any information that might be needed by commissioners while the hearing is open?
So, how did the planning commission vote on this? Was it unanimous or?
I'll have to look back at my notes. I believe, Tim, it was a unanimous decision to approve.
Yes, I think.
But items that were concerns of the Schroeders and neighbors were talked about in the conditions.
Mr. Chairman, could I speak to the unanimous vote?
I don't believe it was unanimous. I have the gentleman's name written down, but I do not remember his name.
Yeah, I'm looking at the minutes. Let me get it quick. I can't recall, but I'm trying to.
And I don't think it's a big item, but I just kind of wanted you guys to know that there was one gentleman there that kind of thought maybe, do we pass it? We've kind of been passing, I believe what he said, and I'm paraphrasing, we've kind of been passing a lot of just about everything. I mean, do we ever say no to anything?
Yeah, My recollection of it, there was one planning commission member who had
Was it Bill Davis?
more concerns that he raised, but I also thought that he felt that those concerns were met based on the conditions. If it's not clear in here on the vote.
One gentleman did vote no.
It just says on the motion by Tom, seconded by Kurt Stepstead, the planning commission approved the application.
All right.
But it
Doesn't break it down.
give
We'd
the
have
So there
vote.
could have been one no.
There was one opposed.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Right. Any other information? Otherwise, is there a motion to close the hearing?
We're gonna have open discussion this later.
Yeah, we can still have open discussion after that, but if you want something as far as in the public hearing record, it should be presented now. The discussion afterwards is, yes, one last thing.
I know there's a lot of conditions.
Please, you gotta come to the microphone.
What I'm trying to determine is if there was another meeting after the meeting because there were conditions left off of that off the minutes. They discussed 50 parking places. Nothing was addressed on the conditions to that. Nothing was addressed as to making sure that the doors stayed closed so there would not be amplified music. That was discussed as one of the conditions. So there were several conditions. I was shocked when I got the minutes to see the items that had been locked or had been left off.
Well, I can say that there's never a meeting after a meeting. I mean, there's not been a discussion on this since that meeting, so.
So there were 50 parking spaces, so I'm just kind of wondering why that didn't appear on the conditions. Thank you.
Well, I think 50 parking spaces is too small, and I don't know that there was I don't recall a number that was actually used. If you're talking 125.
You know, I remember the issues being related to the capacity of the facility and how many people. That's the issue. That's whether they go there on a bus or whether they take 15 cars. It's, you know, and it.
I think the other parking piece that I recall there was discussion on is because it is in an area that flooded frequently, and the applicants said that that's not a peak time for when they would want to have events. If stuff was flooded, they would be postponing. So I think that was a condition that I remember that discussion was happening.
Right. Do we need anything else while the hearing is open? Do you have a motion to close?
So moved.
A motion and a second to close the public hearing. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. What's the wishes of the board? Or if you want to start a conversation, comments, or?
Well, I'll make some comments on it, and I read the letter over by Barbara, and I sort of liken this to another township meeting that I've gone to, I attended around 3-4 times last year, where they wanted to put a gravel pit in there. So I'm sort of thinking that picture that you had before, that flooded area, if that was a gravel pit, and there'd be trucks going back and forth daily, could we disallow it? And we did not disallow it at the other township, you know, we didn't approve, we approved them to go ahead with the gravel pit. You know, so what's gonna be worse, you know, a gravel pit or an event center that's gonna be used occasionally? You know, if there was 20, 30, 40 gravel trucks driving on that road daily, what kind of inconvenience is that? It's an inconvenience, but it's a business that's going in there, and we have to, unless we allow a certain limit on, let's say, the farmers, how many farm trucks can go by that road daily before we have a concern? Are we gonna limit 20 farm trucks a day? You know, we don't put a limit on roads, you know, as far as how much traffic they can put on there. How much can it handle, you know, stuff like that. That's gotta be taken into consideration. The idea of it being a flooded area, I'd have an agreement with what Jenny just said. Hey, if it's flooded, it's gonna be canceled. You know, there's a comment in the letter about if an emergency, how can an emergency vehicle get out there in the wintertime? If the other vehicles made out there, I gotta feel an emergency vehicle will make it out there. So it's just, I agree, it's an inconvenience to have that many cars driving by your farm, but what is in our regulations say that we limit the number of cars that drive by a place? I just don't see anything where we got that, you know, and it's just, they said something about the bridge being taken out south of there. I went to our township bridges that are on the list. That township bridge is scheduled to be improved. We got $730,000 for funds for that improvement being made. I mean, that bridge is not in our list to be taken out. It's been on our list to be improved. So, that point is not valid there. So I'm just looking at, I think that dust is a big concern. You know, do we do chloride, do we do that and stuff in there and stuff like that? I think, you've already stated they put chloride for another place, but I know I drove the area there last weekend, and the roads aren't that wide. I have to agree with that. You know, when you meet a couple of cars, you have to be cautious on that point. I have to agree with that. You know, snow removal, that the roads are going to be blocked. I guess, I don't know. I got a feeling I got to stay in the county side here and say we remove snow as soon as we can. You know, they say that there's 48 hours where the snow was not removed. I think we get some complaints on that. How many weekends are they going to have it? If there's nothing there yet, I don't know. I don't think it's going to be every weekend or something like that. So right now, I don't see where we can, as a commission, we can disapprove a business going in somewhere. Like I say, I liken it to a gravel pit. If there's a gravel pit going in there, could we say no? Yeah, that's my comment.
Any other comments? So we need a motion to either approve or deny the request for the denial, I guess, is what we need at this point.
I'd make a motion to approve the permit.
In the motion to uphold the planning commission's decision. All right.
Any changes to the conditions that were previously set out by the planning commission?
I guess they were concerned about the fence. Just take the fence
well,
out.
We have a motion, and if you want to include that,
okay,
then you can, and then we can have a second to that.
I'll second the motion.
All right, now discussion. I'm just wondering if this passes, if that condition, if we could change that to remove that fence issue for, say, a one-year time to be reviewed. In the event that things did go wrong, we could go back to reinstitute that after a year. I don't know that either party would object to that, but I think it would be an issue that could.
There's all kinds of trees out there that, I mean, the fence, I don't know what the fence would do, but there's all kinds of trees, even for the noise, I mean, for the tree. There's a lot of trees out there to,
The planning commission put it on there, and, you know, it could be without it, but I'm just suggesting if it did become a problem, the first person who would report on it would be the neighbor who was probably experiencing trouble. He's not gonna come to us after a year and say, put this fence in, if he doesn't think it would help a situation. So I'm just kind of going back to the planning commission. It was kind of partly in their conditions trying to protect the adjoining landowner.
It was somewhat of a concession. You know, the adjoining landowner was concerned with people coming over onto his property.
So my suggestion would be in 1 year, he has the option to come back and say, could you please add back that condition, because there has been some issues to my property because of no fence. Why not allow that opportunity?
I think if you went out there and looked at the area, fence is not gonna do it.
All right.
But that would be a consideration of taking condition 6 out.
Yeah.
I have a consideration that I'd like to talk about maybe adding in is typically we add dust control in our gravel permitting, and I think it would probably, the applicant currently states that they do that. I think that's something that would be something we could note in their condition.
The deal is on the dust control. I mean, how much are you saying about that? He does it in front of his area, but what about in front of the 70th Avenue?
Right.
You gonna do dust control there?
I get that. I think it's as in other areas of the county where there are township roads where residents have beat trucks and going by constantly. It's a resident's responsibility to put down dust control. Yes, it's a nuisance and it's unfortunate, but what I'm saying here is I would like to have in their permit dust control in front of their facility.
I think, I agree, but I think in the winter time, which most of the time this is gonna be open, the snow is gonna take care of the dust controls.
So are you considering amending the motion to include a condition for?
I would like to see that the 1,000 feet that they do currently be continued going forward.
As a condition?
So we could remove condition 6 and just replace it with requiring 1,000 feet of dust control,
Well,
500 feet either way.
so we have a motion now that does that, but the motion did not include Commissioner Mojo, so she would have to ask for an amendment to that motion to include, to make it an actual condition of dust control.
Yes, Commissioner Gross, if you'd like to amend your motion to include.
Well, I can amend it, I'll amend it to that, I'll prove that, but we're not doing anything with 70th Avenue, so, but I'll gladly agree to that amendment there.
Okay, and does that meet your second? All right, so the motion is to remove 6, condition 6, uphold the planning commission's decision, but remove condition 6 and replace it with a condition of dust control for the length of the applicant's property. Is that what you're?
Right, you were talking 1,000 feet, 500 feet.
500 north and south.
Yeah.
Is that what, okay, 500 north and 500 south.
Driveway.
Okay, all right. All right, any further discussion on the motion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. That motion carries unanimously.
Mr. Chair, just for clarification, before you leave the topic completely, you talked about the year, moving it for a year, was that?
No, that was, they decided not to do that, so that would have been my preference, but
Yep.
that's fine. You win some, you lose some. Okay, our next item, thank you all for being here. I hope it all works out for all of you. Item number, we got our item numbers here. I think it should be item number 8. Presentation from Lakes Country Service Co-op. We have Holly Witt and Jane. You can come up here to these chairs here. And I'm sorry that we're running late, but also if we can kind of keep that in mind, because I know our commissioners do have other obligations here today as well, so.
If you guys want these, we'll just pass those around too. Good morning, and thanks for giving us a few minutes to talk about Lakes Country Service Cooperative, of which Lake County is a member, an active member. I'm Jane Easties, and this is Holly Witt, and we're both with member services at Lakes Country. We want to do just quickly a couple of things this morning. First, we want to thank you for your active participation in Lakes Country. And then you have some detailed information in your packets, I think, that you've gotten, but we just want to do a real quick high-level overview. We'll only take a few minutes of who we are and how we're here to serve you. So first of all, Clay County is a very active member, and use our insurance, our cooperative purchasing, come to many of our professional development opportunities. We are centrally located in Fergus Falls. And Darren is an active member of our advisory group, which we really appreciate. So thank you again. Just for those of you who may know us from one or two services like insurance or purchasing, but really don't know much about Lakes Country, and some of this may be a reminder for some of you, but we are a public nonprofit, and we just celebrated our 40th anniversary. We were created in 1976 by the legislature to provide regional services to, originally for schools, but then the legislature expanded our enabling legislation to cover cities and counties and nonprofits. So we right now serve at least 151 members, fluctuates a little, over 9 counties, the old governor's Region 4 and Minnesota. We are governed by an 11-member board, and most of that board is elected. Some are appointed. And just by the way, our board is interested in increasing the amount of representation from cities and counties over the next couple of years. So there may be some opportunities, and we would certainly love to have someone from the county if that's a future possibility. Lakes Country does not receive any state funding. So we were created, and we are have to be entrepreneurial to exist. So we are funded through memberships and fee-for-service and grants. Those are probably the major ways that we operate our programs. So just to finish up here with my part, I think a hallmark of our services is that we've grown to over 80 employees throughout the region, and large number of services, and that is because our services grow up from the bottom from our membership. So we respond to needs. And then once we can form a program, then we know that everybody's a little bit different. We have very small cities, very large counties, so we tailor those needs to meet the individual needs of our members. So I'll turn it over to Holly here to kind of go through a little bit more.
Just maybe a couple things that are actually new that may be of interest. One of the things that I work on with the cities, counties, and nonprofits is professional development. So we've been looking at lots of different trainings and asking the questions of members and our advisory team, you know, what is it that you're looking for? So interesting, as we were having these conversations internally and trying to decide what to do, we were approached by AMC, and the new development person, Heather Van Deen, I don't know if you've met her or know her,
Yeah.
but they would like to use our facility to do a series of trainings, and they're taking these trainings across the state. So we had some conversation with Heather, and what we are going to do is partner with her and with AMC to bring these trainings, and we're really looking at that as a great opportunity to, you know, as we go forward, because certainly she knows what you guys need, and we know what, you know, we're hearing too what members need, so we're going to come together and collaborate. So we're excited about that opportunity, and I know the first training starts in May in Fergus, and I know they're doing this statewide. I think Fergus might be the closest to you, but I don't know if anybody's talked to Brian to see how that's been marketed, but we will help market that as well. And I think some of that training is for staff. I think some may be for elected officials as well. So, and we're also working on another whole series of elected official training. So we're working with a consultant on that. Another thing that's new in our technology department is website design. Now, I don't know if that's something you need, but we're really excited about that. We've got a really growing technology department, and they're working with a couple of our members right now. And so
A few years ago, we had one internal person in technology. Now we have 13 full-time employees who are out in our membership. And that came from members asking us for that service.
yeah, so that's something new. And I think grant searching, I'll just quickly mention that and then I'll be done. But we do have access to some different grant search programs. So we've got a nationwide search that we can do and statewide. So if you have any projects, if you've got anything that need grant funds, we have the ability at this point to do that and run some searches for you, or have someone come and sit in our office. We often have members come and just search for an hour or two. So that's something else that you would have access to as well. So I don't know if you guys have any questions. I know we're limited on time, but we really just wanted to thank you and have the opportunity to see if you have any questions, and know that we're here for you to, and we work with Brian. Brian's been great, so responsive, that you can always come through him as well, so.
And that's surprising.
Yeah. It's very good.
I was interested in, you said on grant searching, you know. So this grant search, who's that available to? I mean, is it available to, fire department wants a grant, does the fire department come to you and you would help them? Or if a city wants a grant, they?
Any of our members, they can access it for free. It's just one of the services that we
When you
offer.
say any of your members, does the fire department have to be a member of some sort, or?
they're part of the city, so, I mean, locally here, yeah, and
So,
our
so
cities.
anyone associated with the county would be, we consider, the services are available to any employee of our member who is the county.
Okay.
But in his question, though, the county itself does not have any fire departments.
Oh, okay.
The city of
Right.
Dilworth, but, so
Right,
the city of
right.
Dilworth, it would have to be a member.
Right.
And then their fire department could request some assistance on a grant.
Yeah, yes.
And I'll take that one. What about churches? Can a church come to you and say that, hey, we'd like, we're going to do a building project, we'd like a grant, and you'd be assisting them?
Well, we could help them search out where to find grants.
Right.
We don't write the grants.
Okay,
Yes,
very good.
yes, just
But
to
you
clarify
have-
that, but we could help,
So what you do is search for grants for them?
we could do the search, yes.
Okay, very good. I think that's interesting. I mean, it's a good service, a great service, because a lot of these small companies don't have grant writers, or they don't have grant searches, so it's a very good service. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
And our cards are stapled inside, so. Great, thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, next item, we have, Carolyn's here. Good morning.
Good morning.
Sorry to keep you waiting. And you're looking for an amendment to the Clay County agreement.
Yes, this agreement has not been amended since 2008, I believe, and so what you have before you is basically that same amendment, or that's the same governance agreement with two changes to it. We removed the language for the Board of Directors because we no longer have that level of, in our administrative level of the collaborative. And then in section 10, we added the data sharing piece because that was left out when these were written in 2008, and it is a requirement for collaboratives to have information on how data would be shared among our partners.
Do we actually have the resolution that shows the language changes?
I haven't seen either the agreement or any resolution.
Okay.
Yes, we do, Mr. Chair.
Do we have? I think, bringing this forward, I think if this has been recommended, and I know Commissioner Haney, you were involved with this and recommended it come here. I think that if we're going to entertain a motion to make those changes, it should be subject to approval by our county attorney's office. And then we wouldn't have to hold it up then, I guess, is what I'm
That's a good idea.
suggesting. So, what's the wishes of the board?
I'd like to make a motion.
Okay, you move the two changes made, subject to county attorney approval. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Second, any further discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. All right,
Thank you,
Thank you, Carmen.
and thank you for your continued partnership with us.
Thank you. So we'll, take that and then.
I'll get it back to you.
After you read. Okay. All right, committee reports, we'll take a different order this morning and start with Commissioner Haney.
You ready? Let's see. On Thursday, I attended the Early Childhood Networking Breakfast at the FSC, and present were providers from all the early childhood programs in our district, and also the legislative members were there to give reports about legislation that's working its way through the legislature, bills regarding early childhood issues, and they were cautiously optimistic about various things and kind of disappointed in others. And then on yesterday, I went to witness the diversion, what do you call it?
Groundbreaking ceremony?
Groundbreaking ceremony, yep. And that was interesting as well. And that's all I had for the last week.
Very good, thank you. Commissioner Gross?
Last Wednesday with Holly, they had their wellhead protection thing that they got Holly has to get a plan made up for that, and It was very informative. I mean, they had a person there, I mean, explaining the wellhead protection, how it all works and why we're doing it. I mean, this is the third time I think I'm on the committee, it was on with Linda and from Moorhead, and she gave a very good explanation of why it all needs to be done, why they need a plan and to protect our waters for our citizens, so. That evening, Wednesday evening, went to the Moorhead Library, Representative Lean and Margaret and Senator Eakin had a town hall meeting again concerning mostly healthcare. They discussed Moorhead underpass and stuff like that. Had a good attendance there. Yesterday, Brian Green gave a presentation at Billward for a severe weather presentation. I really want to compliment Brian on gave a good presentation to the people that were there, you know, about how it all works, when do the sirens go off, and, you know, it's sort of interesting, and people were asking, you know, well, how do we know when it's over? And really, we really don't, you know, it's just, there's no siren that says, you know, 3 quick beeps, hey, it's all over with now, you know, you just got to know that on your own or listen to the radio and stuff like that. So, yeah, I mean, he just gave a good presentation, very informative, and he did a great job. Last night I went to Keene Township. Several items came up for that, but we're going to discuss that at highway tracking and before I bring that back again, so.
Yesterday we had jail and law enforcement center meeting, and we've already talked about the good news we got there. And we had a little planning meeting on our groundbreaking for the correctional center and the law enforcement center, which we're scheduling for May 9th. I think we've still got some work to do on that, but that's going to go well. And then I also attended as a board member, the groundbreaking at the diversion yesterday, and it was really well attended, and I think we had a lot of good coverage on it, and so that went well.
Thank you. Last week I attended the Soil and Water Conservation District meeting, and that was pretty well covered by their department update today, so that concludes my report.
Thank you. This last week, last Tuesday after our board meeting, I had a meeting with solid waste, and it was we talked about some potential future options for material recovery, additional material recovery, which more will come of that later. And then we also did have our design people gave an update on the design of the transfer station. I think we're in its final stages of that design. We're basically waiting for the bonding bill to come out and be done on that, and we'll hopefully move forward with that. Then on Friday, I attended a Prairie Lakes solid waste budget meeting, and I got some good news to report, I think. As you recall, it wasn't too long ago that we were in Hurt City, and we were being asked to have extra contributions brought in. The first quarter of 2017 is going well, and if we continue on this trend at the end of the year, we could see the potential of having $515,000 revenues over expenditures. However, we do have a $180,000 commitment that would have to come out of that. That's not part of the budget, and that has to do with a final payment on a contract. And then also, right now, within the trending numbers, there was $200,000 in the budget for major repairs that has not been used, but if that were to have to be used, then that would change that number downward. But the good news, I think, at this point in time is we shouldn't have to be asking counties to pay for a deficit again. So I'm really pleased with that. It was kind of scary for a while. And then Yesterday morning, we had the construction meeting, and all of those items we talked about today. And then there was also the diversion groundbreaking that took place. I also, and I don't recall what day that I did it, but I also was part of a teleconference regarding the brochure that is going to be sent out by the consulting firm that the Diversion Authority hired to look for the executive director position. And the purpose of that teleconference was to go over the draft brochure that is going to be sent out by that consulting firm. And that was based on interviews conducted with all Diversion Authority members to address everyone's concerns. So that's how that was drafted. And then we were asked to maybe give a potential salary range. And so that discussion was held by phone, and I think, and I believe that's going to be going out nationwide. I can't remember the date. It's sometime in early May, I believe it's going to be going out. That's all I have. Brian.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair. I attended the same solid waste meeting that you were talking about, so you've reported on that very well. We also attended a FF&E, furnitures, fixtures and things with the city. And just for the board's attention, that what we're looking at going there is the fact that we would follow the same guidelines that we did with the lease that you approved with the city. And that is that the county will pay for the county's part and the shared part, and the city will pay for the city's occupied spot. See, I'm trying to talk very deliberately and slow so I don't sound so scratchy, and I screwed up anyway. Okay, I'll keep going.
Error duly noted. That's all right.
Oh,
it's a mistake.
God. Well, I'm glad we're being videoed.
I wonder if that's bleeped. Go ahead.
Thursday morning, I did attend the Chamber Public Affairs Committee, which I'm a member of. And I have reported on this before, and on the same topic. We had an update from President Dean Bashani from NDSU. And you are aware that North Dakota and the university system is going through some funding issues. Now, we can say that's North Dakota. How does that affect us here being a border city and the metropolitan area? It does. We have an awful lot of Minnesota kids that go to NDSU. So their programs, their funding does affect our families on this side. We probably, it would be fun to know the number of Clay County residents that do go to Moorhead, or correction, go to NDSU. A lot of them go to Moorhead too, of course. I did have a meeting with Detox, the Public Health Director, Kathy McKay, and Troy Onmundson, who is the director of the Detox Center. We discussed a lot of issues for future concerns, current and future concerns. The opioids is affecting them as well, and they are seeing a greater use of our facility. I mean, it's a bad thing for society that need is, but it's a good thing that it's available for this community. Did have a meeting last Friday with Steve from the Juvenile Center and the architects to look at some possible expansion of that, and that has been discussed now for a couple of years. We'll be talking to the committees on that issue. Had some personnel meetings with Rhonda and Darren, Social Services and HR, in regards to some grievances and different things. So we had quite an extended meeting in regards to that. met with the sheriff's office in regards to the budget for the FF&E. We had a meeting yesterday before our construction meeting, referenced the gross maximum price that construction engineers presented today, which again, I'll just emphasize the great news and I think Commissioner Gross pointed it out. It's been very reassuring to work with a quality company that has kind of guided this whole process. And frankly, you wouldn't, at least in my experience, I haven't seen the kind of responses to their proposals to get the number of bids and the quality bids. And then to have them review all of those bids and with their experience determine the best path to proceed in construction is worth a lot. And that was nice of you to recognize that. I attended the diversion groundbreaking yesterday afternoon along with the commissioners. And we had a meeting yesterday afternoon, a preliminary meeting on ideas for a groundbreaking ceremony here for May 9th. And Colleen and I had done some preliminary thoughts and different things, and I'll just extend that. I know the committee would want to hear from any one of you that have some ideas and what you'd like to see and who you'd like represented at that. So, we're still seeking any kind of input that we can.
Yeah, we established quite a list of invitees, but if any commissioners want to share with Brian or Colleen thoughts, they, you could find out if they're currently on the list, and if they're not, then we can certainly add them. These would be people that we're hoping to create a brochure that we can send out to these people. So.
Well, and for an example, we didn't include the schools.
Yeah.
And that would be a good one, because we are grouping together on these building projects and
Right.
things, so we'll add them to the list. So if you think of things, the townships we talked about yesterday, but that you deal with, that you want to make sure they get an invitation to this, please let us know. We don't want to miss people. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. All right. Anything else, Ben, that you aware of? All right, we're adjourned. Thank you.